Hello and welcome back to RageGamingVideos and a new Diablo 4 video. Today we're talking about the major endgame system that is your Paragon points and your Paragon boards. It might seem like a bit of an overwhelming system, especially when you first look at it, but honestly it's not that complicated and provides a main endgame system tied to our power progression long term, from those levels 50 to 100. Through this system you'll be getting big stat boosts, unique abilities, unique passives enhancing your abilities, and crazy powerful effects in general. That's all unlocked in your Paragon. How do you get Paragon points though? Well, as you can see on my level here, we actually have these notches, and at each notch I will actually get another Paragon point. So I don't even need to get a full level to get another Paragon point. Every level equals 4. You'll get a full 201 from your levels total, but there's a couple other ways to get some more Paragon points, which can actually be pretty quick. By running around and collecting Altars of Lilith, you'll get permanent stat increases. This is actually relevant to your Paragon board as a whole. 4 specific ones provide a Paragon point each, so it is very much worth at very least going and getting those specific 4. We'll take a look at the map and I'll show you where those 4 Lilith statues are specifically. From the main city of Kyovo here, let's go all the way west to the shoreline coastline here, and by this waypoint, Azulda, just come south to this Altar of Lilith, just in the cave system to the south, and you can get your first Paragon point. Leaving that Altar of Lilith and heading straight east into the stronghold shape, we have another Altar of Lilith up here, which is the second one. Heading north from that Altar of Lilith then, we can come to this salt flat area, which has another Altar of Lilith, which is again another Paragon point reward. Then from that region we can head straight east to this one that I've marked, again another Altar of Lilith with a Paragon point, and that's all 4. Once you've collected these though, you'll have a nice extra 4 points to work with, but there's more ways to get them. That being the obvious one, Renown. As you can see, we have different levels of Renown, and at each stage we get different rewards, skill points, potion capacity, another skill point, max obol count, but most importantly the final one, the 4 Paragon points for completing a region. This requires a lot of Renown though, a total of 2,000. As you can see, you'll need to reveal the map, completing the strongholds, completing the waypoints, side quests, fully revealing the map for the areas discovered, side dungeons, and Altars of Lilith. Since it's worth getting all of them for the Paragon points as a whole, as I will explain, it's also worth collecting them for the Renown, and I recommend it. It's a pain to do, but you only have to do it once. From there, strongholds and waypoints and discovering the area, revealing the map, are going to be a massive chunk of Renown. Then you'll be left to do side quests and side dungeons in the area. You don't have to do all of them, you don't have to do all of the side quests, but a good amount of them, and then you'll finish that off. As you can see, I finished this region and claimed the reward of 4 extra Paragon points. Just like when you complete all of the Altars of Lilith, there's just not much fanfare here, but all the same, 4 points is well worth. When we do complete the Paragon board though, we'll have 225 points total to work with, which will lead us to not 1, not 2, but many Paragon boards to work with. Let's take a look at mine here. As you can see on the left, I have all of my stats listed and the amount that I have, and my glyphs, of which I have all of them except 1, and it even shows which glyphs are currently equipped with this ring around it. You'll have a starting point that can go right or left, and then a glyph slot in the middle, as sort of the heart of this board. You can see that we have normal nodes that provide a certain amount of different stats depending on what class you are, magic nodes which provide other interesting stats like resistance to elements, maximum life, and even armor, or ideally plus damage, which is amazing. Then we have rare nodes, which as you can see have extra effects, very powerful stats on those, and a bonus that you will get if you meet the requirements. In this case, I need to have a total of 160 willpower across the board of my character stats. That's why again Altars of Lilith are so important, because they give you these permanent stat increases, giving you a much higher starting point before even spending any points. The last tier of node is a legendary node, which as you can see can provide ridiculously powerful effects. This node is here and in this specific place because I've turned the board and chosen this board specifically. Let's walk back this upgrade so that I can show you what I mean. Let's choose a new board. As you can see, we can choose between different boards. I have 8 options as a Necromancer, and it'll tell you what the legendary node in that will be. In this case, it will be Cult Leader. Since I want the Flesh Eater perk right here, that's what I'm going to go for. But you can also see that there is a grand total of 6 rare nodes that are going to be on this board as well. We can click preview to take a look. Nothing's locked in here, and even if we do lock it in, we can pull it back for a small amount of gold and rework it whenever we like. But as you can see, it's not organized in the way that I just showed you. That's because you can rotate the board, and we can rotate it to give us an optimal path to whatever we're looking for. In my case, I would like to reach the legendary node as soon as possible, so I've rotated it so that the legendary node is nearest to me. In many cases, you might want to reach the the glyph socket first, so a complete opposite order is what you would do for that. Rotating the board at the beginning just comes down to your simple consideration of what you're going to use. In my case, I might work my way up the board, picking up the legendary node, moving my way around to the glyph and activating that, and then moving upwards like so, going to this gate to get another board. At that point, I might not be coming over to this rare node or this rare node, because these have unique requirements and different effects. For example, that'll enhance my lucky hit, whereas this one is to do with poison and giving me poison resistance. If it's something I just don't care about, there's no point working my way over there and wasting all those points. But as you can see, boards are basically centered, the heart of them is around their legendary node, and that's why it shows you that at the beginning. But of course, you also care about your glyphs and what you're going to put into those sockets. Let's take that one out and show you what it's actually like to put one in. I'll just pick one at complete random and slot it in. As you can see, I now have this red circle showing me what's inside of that glyph's range. As I upgrade this glyph, not only will I empower the stats on it, but I will also increase the radius range of this red zone. This red zone represents what you must pick up in terms of stats to activate a secondary effect. Let's look at Amplify here. Simply slotting this in, I get 30% bonus to all magic nodes within the range. So these magic nodes are actually being enhanced. Instead of giving me 50 armor, it's giving me 65. Then we have the additional bonus if the requirements are met to make enemies afflicted by curse skills take extra damage. But the requirements below that are 40 intelligence within the radius range. And as you can see, I've not met those requirements. What I need to do is find 10 more intelligence points of the nodes in this red area and fill them in. So there's one here, let's grab that, and there's one there, let's grab that. Now we should have 40, and there you go. It is now activated. So choosing what glyph you put in should also be based on what's around the socket. Because if you need, say, 40 dexterity, and there simply isn't nodes that provide enough dexterity to reach that, well then you're not going to get the secondary effect. Let's try a different socket and put that in. As you can see, I need 25 willpower. Even picking up all of the nodes within this radius, I just don't have enough to reach that unless I were to upgrade this glyph and increase its radius. Then I'd be able to reach more willpower nodes like this one, and that would account for the number. To upgrade a glyph then, you're going to need to go to Nightmare Dungeons. As you can see, Nightmare Dungeons are tied to the Nightmare mode and above in Torment. Basically, it's World Tier 3 and above. Once you're in this mode or above, Nightmare sigils can actually drop that unseal these Nightmare dungeons. These seals will be found in your consumable tabs, and this is what they look like. As you can see, they have different affixes. Some of them are beneficial to you, like 20% more gold in that dungeon, but then there's the negatives, where they make the monsters stronger. In this case, they have additional lightning damage, and monsters can also spawn blood blisters, which explode. You weigh up the positive versus the negative and what you can handle. Either way, you must start doing Nightmare dungeons, and even if you're doing the lower level ones, end of that dungeon, you'll be able to put some XP into a glyph, choosing which one you want to enhance. Again, every time you level it, you can enhance the power of that glyph, which is awesome, but at level 15, you will increase the radius range, as mentioned, making other glyphs and other secondary effects possible to activate, because now you can actually get the stats. As you can see, there's a lot of glyphs for each class. I'm just missing one right now, and I've collected these very quickly and very easily. The truth is, you don't really need to worry about this too much. Once you hit 50 and start doing Nightmare Dungeons, you're just going to get them. And at the end of the Nightmare Dungeon, there's a very high chance you'll get at least one and start building up your collection. Further, there's other ways to get them, like the Tree of Whisperers. At the end of that, a reward for that can often be a glyph. But even normal dungeons reward them, and general open world content. You'll be finding them pretty quickly. But the best way is always going to be Nightmare Dungeons, because you're doubling up and leveling your glyphs while also collecting more. So, to recap and conclude that, Paragon boards will be unlocked at 50 and above. You will gain a new point at every 25% increase of your level, 4 points per level. There are 4 Paragon points to gather from 4 specific Lilith statues, very easy to get, but it's well worth collecting them all because you can also get 4 more Paragon points for all 4 regions by filling out the Renown. Your starting board ultimately is pretty straightforward and small, with one glyph socket in the middle to get you going. As shown by this red radius, everything within it will go to that glyph's secondary requirement. In this case, I needed to find 25 dex in the nodes around it, which I've done to activate this. Then we progressed on to the gate and chosen a second board. By rotating the board in the correct order, I can make it so I can easily get to my legendary node, the heart of the secondary and future boards, and get that as quick as possible. Then I will work my way up to the glyph socket, activate that, and grab all the nodes around it to get the secondary effect. From there, we work our way up or left or right or whichever way to activate another board, consider another legendary node, and get more glyph sockets. We can get glyphs throughout all of the game, but a great way to get them is in Nightmare Dungeons, doubling up on finding them and leveling them as a reward at the end of a Nightmare dungeon. There's a total of 225 points to get as you level up to 100, so we'll be making many boards, some builds using more boards than others. It feels like a lot to say when I'm explaining it, but I hope that was understandable and helpful to you. If you guys have any extra points or information to help people understand this system or benefit in some way, then let us know in the comments. You might just help someone. For now then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, that's been Paragon and Paragon Boards. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.